Welcome back, everyone. I'm glad you're here. So let's check in with one word on how you're feeling today. We can start here.
It's not really a word, but meh.
Meh. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. You can use noises too. That counts.
Hopeful. Hungry.
Me too. It's okay. We'll finish fast. I'm Raabe. I want to go around the group and get your names too.
Vivian.
Julia.
Katie. Thank you, guys. I'll be guiding our conversations. My role is just to listen, support, and make this a safe place for everyone. And this group is a part of your program here. It's more than just a box to check. We're here to talk about real things, like how we feel about our bodies and how we take care of ourselves. So I'll guide your sessions. I want to clarify that, but you'll shape where our conversations go. And everyone has the right to speak or to pass, so no pressure whatsoever. And I'm happy everyone's here today too. Also, what we share stays here. Everything is confidential, so don't worry about it going anywhere else or leaking in the press. The only time I'd have to break confidentiality is if you're in danger. What do you hope to get out of this group, and what would make it feel safe and helpful for you?
I guess what I hope to get out is more understanding, and other people learn it from other people's experiences so that they can help guide my own experience with my disorder.
Kind of same, because I feel like the basis on how I got my eating disorder is like a bit weird, because it was from like a phobia that I had way back in high school, and they kind of treated it like they thought it was an eating disorder, but it wasn't, and then they treated it like one anyway, and I feel like that in of itself manifested into an actual eating disorder. So I think I just want to learn more about the basis of that. I don't know.
So we'll definitely get into that. Thanks for sharing why you're here.
I think that I just want to not feel alone in all of this. So, I know we're all here kind of for the same reason. So I want to do, a lot of listening, and I've gotten a lot of judgment in my life in this area. So I don't want to feel judged here. I do not want to feel judged here. So I want to feel more supported.
So you want a group that can support you and a vibe that's we listen, but we don't judge.
Yes.
So you mentioned that one, but you guys didn't mention what would make you feel safe. So what would make you feel safe?
I guess like tone of voice.
Tone is a big one.
Tones too, for some reason. Yeah.
Kind of same.
Okay.
Yes.
A vegetable you hate towards that vegetable.
Okay, I really don't like Brussels sprouts.
Same.
Okay. I think it's because I've heard from other people's experiences that they don't like it and they don't cook it well, so I've never had it because of other people's experiences.
Oh, interesting.
And it just looks it doesn't look like a vegetable, like it shouldn't exist. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't like celery. I just think it's weird. The texture, the flavor, it's like watered down something. But also it kind of leads into my whole issue with eating, where like I heard somebody got sick and threw up from it. So now I'm just like, stay away from that. I'm staying away from that.
Interesting.
I'd say two. First one is okra, because it's slimy and fuzzy and just
I get that.
repulsive. And then lima beans, ever since I was a little kid, I couldn't eat them, and my mom forced me, and so I took all the lima beans out and put it under my plate, and then said, "I'm done," and then ran out of the house, and she took the plate off, and she saw like a whole ring of lima beans.
Oh my gosh.
And she said, "Ah." And I was long gone.
What's one word you associate with the word confidence?
Appearance.
Thin.
Brave.
How has that influenced your own body image?
Well, for me, my eating disorder actually, it's kind of like trauma related actually. I was at a concert and I saw somebody throw up in front of me, and then more people just started throwing up, and then after that I had a fear of eating, because I didn't want to throw up after seeing all that people throw up. at a concert, just like I just couldn't eat for like the next couple of months, several months, and so I guess like social media thinks like whenever we go to concerts, people dress up and stuff like that, but they don't show that like it's disgusting. Concerts are disgusting. People throw up, and that really affects other people who have either a phobia or body image issues. So.
Interesting.
You literally described my exact situation.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, like I just remember back in high school, for some reason, a lot of my cohort was just constantly sick and would have to excuse themselves to use the restroom to like throw up. And ever since, it like manifested into a really crazy anxiety to the point where I limited the foods I ate because I would see, oh, they're eating that and then they got sick. I can't eat that food anymore. And it got to a point where I was literally just eating apples, oranges, and pasta, like plain pasta. That is it. And of course, my parents are like freaking out because they're like, you like, did something happen to you at school? Like they were thinking like maybe I was being bullied or I got like assaulted in some kind of way, but nothing of that sort happened. It just manifested into something. And then like when in order to like recover from that, I did like individual therapy at the time. And
That's good.
yeah, but they were treating it as if it was an eating disorder when it wasn't necessarily. Like I get that it was disordered eating for sure because I was limiting myself. In retrospect, like I see why they were doing that, but it wasn't necessarily because of like how I felt about my own body image. It was literally just because it manifested from a fear of like the foods that other people were eating and they happened to get sick from it.
So there's a connection there. Both of you.
For sure. I was like, when I heard her talking about that, I was like, whoa, like what world have you lived in?
But it's interesting because even though you guys didn't begin your eating disorder based off of body image issue, there were external things that caused fear, and therefore you started having this strange eating pattern.
Yeah, because
So
now,
it wasn't an eating disorder, it was just disordered eating.
Yeah, because like I was gonna say, now, like me now, even though I'm definitely better in terms of my phobia of vomiting than I was in high school, like I definitely feel like I've still maintained certain eating patterns that I had in high school, but now through the basis of like, oh, shouldn't be eating that because that's a lot of calories or something like that. And it's like, oh, well, that food wasn't considered safe to begin with because that one person back in high school got sick, so I just won't eat it now. And it's like, I still notice some of that.
Yeah, for me at least too, I avoid certain foods that look like throw up or have that texture. So like when you say pasta, that's the one food I avoid because it's like throw up in its name, you know, or like mashed potatoes or like, you know, broccoli if it was like all mushy and stuff. So
Anything that you relate with, or maybe your experience was completely different?
Well, we were talking about throwing up, and I struggle with bulimia, and I'm getting over it, and you probably think that's disgusting, but anyways, it didn't come like from like social media or anything. It came from my sister because I hadn't seen her in a long time because she was in boarding school, and I was so excited to see her, and I opened up the door of her dorm room, and she looked at me, and she was so disgusted, and she said, "You're so skinny," and it broke my heart because I didn't have any body image issues before that, and I love my sister, and it crushed me because I felt like she was pushing me away and not accepting me. And so then that's when the bulimia started, because I just felt so out of control because I wanted her acceptance. My parents had a divorce and she was kind of like my mother figure, and I felt like she didn't accept me. And I've given up on what society thinks we should look like because it's so crazy. They want you to have a big butt, but then you have to have a skinny waist. How real is that? I mean, you have to be at the gym all the time for that. And I mean, my body is just, you know, I don't know, I'm a mess. But anyways, I think it came more from like my sister than it did. And I forgive her, and you know, I love her still, but that relationship was so important to me. So that's really what I think was the impetus of my disorder.
I can see how that situation made you feel put into a box and like she wasn't really seeing you for you.
Yeah.
And that sounds really lonely.
Yeah.
You did mention how that had a huge impact on your eating habits later on. Just as much as for all of you guys, there was a theme that a certain experience had an impact in the way that you ate later on. So you pointed out a little bit more about body image, and we pointed out a little bit more about food, right? Now, is there something that Julia said that makes you resonate with the body image part of everything when it comes to an eating pattern? Or
I guess whenever I saw all those people like growing up around me, they were very like skinny, you know. So I guess because the images keep playing in my mind and stuff like that, I just am constantly like thinking of the people who threw up, and I'm like reflecting my body off of them subconsciously, you know.
then it kind of sounds like it was attractive, like
Not, I wouldn't say attractive, but I think because it was so traumatic, it's because of how trauma works and stuff. It's like, I think somehow in my brain, there's something that happened where that image of those people are playing back, and that's like, I either see the image of the people or the throw up, and yeah. So putting those two together kind of like.
So you get triggered with eating. Because of you associating it. That's wrong.
would you say that that's affected you, and in what way?
It has affected my sleeping patterns and like lethargicness and stuff like that, like overall health, because I'm not eating as much as I usually do.
Does it affect the way you see yourself when you look at the mirror?
Yes, for sure, because I did lose a lot of weight, so it's like, oh, this is actually good, but at the same time it's bad because I started looking like not myself, you know, normal self that I am used to looking at.
So what would looking like yourself look like?
Maybe like seeing my face flushed, you know, like those healthy looking features that I used to have, for sure. Like,
so it's interesting because all of you guys seem to acknowledge that how you are right now is probably not the healthiest, right? And there is a healthy standard. Does anyone here feel like they want the same thing too?
I have a real cognitive dissonance in my head because I want to be bigger so my sister will accept me, but then I want to be really thin because obviously thin is beautiful to her, and so then I desire to be like her, so I don't know what I want. And so that's why I eat a lot to stuff my emotions, you know, and then I feel guilty for eating so much, so then I purge, and then I feel even more guilty for that, so I know that's not healthy for my body.
What if we're feeling like what Julia said? What would you want to say to that?
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel like because of my phobia of throwing up, I feel like I've never physically even been, like, not that I would want to have an eating disorder, but I feel like in a way it's protected me from it in a very weird way because I'm scared of it. It's not like I'm gonna try inducing it, but I do get that cognitive dissonance anyway, like despite, because like you do it, but I don't because I'm scared of it. But like in my head, sometimes in the back of my mind, I always thought like, if I did purge, what would I look like now? Because I know dang well that if I wasn't terrified and with the way that things are going now, I probably would have developed something. And it's really weird for me that like my phobia has helped and harmed me in that way, where like I still have a really weird way, like a weird pattern of eating, but I never actually developed a disorder, or like at least an official one, because of it too. It's very weird.
That's interesting.
So I noticed as you were sharing with us that your voice got a little nervous and you got a little quieter at the end. Tough thing to talk about, what we shared today. It's not an easy thing. Like maybe what I'm doing feels safe at times, but it seems like food isn't just about eating. It feels like a safe thing. It feels like it's about feeling safe. So maybe there's something there that we all need to explore a little bit more. And although Katie, you seem to already know what you want with your relationship with food, for the next time around, we should definitely talk a little bit more about possibly reframing that, that there are good things, but what if there could be something better, if that makes sense? You guys did a great job today. Just for some self-disclosure, I too had a toxic food relationship in high school, all during college, and it's not easy to come here and to take a step forward, but when you do, the results can be really great. And I know some of you guys have had therapy, but as a group therapy session, it provided for me an added benefit that I didn't get in my one-on-one sessions. And so to close off, to sum everything up, we explored our feelings and our thoughts about food and how our struggles have been. And we talked about our bodies and how these things aren't just thoughts in our head, but how they are facts because we've experienced them in our lives, if that makes sense. And we, I think, could all agree that this was a good session. That it was a good step forward. How do you feel now at the end of our session?
Definitely learned the different perspectives in terms of vomiting? I don't know. Like, yeah, there are different perspectives on that, I guess. It's not just fear-based. I don't know. I really don't know how to put it into words, I'll be honest, but I know that that was a recurring theme, and to see the different perspectives and how doing something like that can be scary, but for some people they see it as a necessity. So, and it all depends on like their environment.
And to piggyback up on that, I think it's connected because we had similar experiences. So
Yeah.
being able to just connect and learn from each
And
other.
honestly, yeah,
Because
that-
our situations were similar but different on how
Yeah.
it affected our eating.
it made me feel
habits.
less crazy about it because I feel like, how do you develop an eating disorder from being scared of throwing up? I always thought that that was something in my head that I was like, girl, you're crazy. So to see that like I'm not the only one that can develop eating issues after seeing something like that, like I think it made me feel less crazy about how I feel.
That makes me really happy to hear.
Yeah.
Glad you guys had that experience.
I felt like, even though my situation is completely opposite of them, I felt listened to and I felt understood, and that was really good for me.
That's awesome. So see you guys next week. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you.
Yay.